Hey, we're back today with another video. I'm going to do one on no fire, no spark condition. You can't find out why you're not getting any spark. See if I can help you guys figure out y'all's issues. This bike here used to be my gray carbon fiber plastic bike. I'll call this one ballistic. I've had this bike for 4 years. It's been my first bike. It was my first Banshee actually. And this engine here has got four years on it, and she still sounds great. I'll fire it up for you guys real fast before I wash it and get it in the shop. This here is the bike you see me do all the wheelies on. Alright guys, we're going to do an ignition troubleshooting video. How to find out why you have no spark or why you have no fire. The Banshee ignition system is not real difficult to figure out. I guess it can be pretty hard if you're not used to working on anything like this, or you've just never worked on a Banshee before. But there's really nothing to it. It's a whole lot easier than a lot of guys make it out to be. We're going to start out with the most basic, easy, simple things to check and bypass first, and then we'll move on from there to the little bit trickier stuff, I guess you'd say. I guess we'll start with if your bike is running fine and it just falls over dead on you, or whether it's a brand new build and you get ready to crank it and there's no fire. The first things that I would do is disconnect the kill switch, the light switch, disconnect that, and bypass the key to eliminate those two. With the kill disconnected and the key bypassed, it has no choice but to fire. So if it doesn't fire after that, then for sure you've got issues somewhere you'll have to trace down. So we're going to start with that. This video is going to be really tricky because of the way my camera sits on the tripod. It really can't get a good shot where I need it to be, down the coil and all that good stuff. So some of it's going to be handheld like this, some of it's going to be on my tripod. You just have to forgive me for the shaky footage. So we're going to get started. Here we go. Okay, as you follow the wires down from the kill switch, and when I say kill switch, I mean the light switch, your high, low, off, and then your red off and run switch. Follow those wires down and you're going to end up here. On a bike that's like a 95 to 2001, you're going to have a plug. You're going to have a 6-pin plug like this, and you'll have a separate black and white wire. The separate black and white wire, and I hope I'm in shot because the camera's way over there. The separate black and white wire is your actual kill switch wire. When you flip the switch to the off position, what it does is connect this ground wire right here to this wire here and kills it. So if you want to do away with, you want to bypass that kill switch, you can just disconnect this. So now this bike should fire. So we're going to go ahead and give it a kick and see if we have fire or not. Okay, I think you guys can see that there. Hopefully it doesn't move when I kick it over. I have both plugs out of the bike so it'll kick easier. I'm going to do it with my hand. And there's nothing wrong with this bike, of course. I'm just mimicking a problem so that I can help you guys out. So now we've bypassed the kill switch. Everything else is still hooked up as it should be. So I'm just going to kick it over with my hand. Okay, no fire. Okay, so it's not the kill switch. What could it be next? Alright, now we're going to bypass the key. So on a 95 to 2001, your ignition switch is going to have 4 wires coming from it and only 2 in the harness. The 2 that you need to bypass are going to be the red with a black tracer and then the black wire. Your plug itself has 4 wires. The red and orange, the red and brown aren't even used. So you can do one of 2 things to bypass that. Of course, I don't have anything handy. Okay, you can take a piece of wire, strip both ends of it, stick each bare end down in each prong here where the metals are, and bypass it that way. Or you can use what I use here, just a bypass plug, key bypass. Just plug it in, and boom, your key's bypassed. And this way, I keep one of each of these for each style harness, because there's 3 different styles: the round plug, the 02 to 06, and then there's this one. And I keep it in my little toolkit because it's so much easier to just plug this in then go find a wire, strip it, put it in there, and then make sure it's making contact. You kick it over, the wire falls down, it falls out. This way there's no guessing. Plug it in, it's bypassed. So now we're going to kick it over and see what happens. Okay, here we go. We have the we tried disconnecting the kill switch, and we tried bypassing the key. We're going to see we have fire now with the key bypassed. There you go. So now we have fire with the key. So in this instance, the problem was in the key, bad ignition. You can either choose to leave that plug on there like that, or of course, get yourself a new ignition switch. Now, if you're one of the guys that says, well, it can't be that because my wires are done tied together, it's already bypassed. Well, have you ever gotten in your car and you get ready to crank it up and it won't do anything, or it just goes click click and you have to get off, loosen your battery connections and get them wiggled around a little bit? Well, the connections go bad. Even though the connection's tight, there still could be no current through there. So disconnect these wires if they're already bypassed, put together, disconnect them, clean them, put them back together, then try it. Okay, so there we found our problem. That was a bad ignition. So now we're going to go on and keep going from there and make out like there's another problem. We're gonna pretty much troubleshoot everything on the bike that could cause a problem. Okay, now we're going to pretend that we have the kill switch disconnected and the key bypassed. We're going to try it. Okay, we still don't have any fire, so it's not the key and it's not a faulty kill switch. What next? Okay, so I have everything hooked up, but for the sake of argument, we disconnected the kill switch, there was no fire. We disconnected the key, bypassed it, and there was no fire. So now it's time to move on to checking components on the bike itself. The process of elimination that I choose to go down, the easiest to most difficult, I do the kill switch like we just did, and then I bypass the key. If that doesn't show any results, then I will test the stator, pickup coil. If that shows good, then I'll move on to testing the actual coil. Here, I'll test the coil itself, the primary leads, secondary leads, and then I'll test the boots. Of course, make sure the wires are on good and tight, the connections are clean, the orange wire and the black wire. It does not matter which post they go on. You can put them on either way. I think I always put mine on, I think I put the orange wire on the back post all the time. I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. So I'm not actually gonna test all that on this bike because I've already done it before in another video. But rather than have you guys search for those videos, what I'm gonna do is go ahead and stop here, and I'm gonna insert the clips from those other 3 videos on how to test and how to check all that good stuff. And then I'll be back after that because I'm gonna show you guys how to test the whole wiring harness. We're gonna make out like we've tested every single thing on this bike. Everything's good, we still can't get any fire, so it's gonna leave either the CDI or it's gonna leave the wiring harness. For the CDI, there's no way to test it. There's nothing you can do. You'll have to just take it off and either grab one from a buddy, or if you got a running bike, pop it off of there. And you don't have to mount it up, nothing like that. Just reach under there. I can't see where I'm at. Just reach under there, disconnect it, plug the new one up, and let it hang there, and see what it does. Also, be sure this ground wire right here is where it needs to be. Take it off, clean it, put it back on, make sure it's tight and all that. But okay, I'm going to go ahead and insert these other video clips on how to test everything else, and then I'll be back and we're going to test the wiring harness out for breaks in the wires and continuity and all that good stuff. Okay, so we're going to start. Let's go ahead and test our lighting coil, which here is 0.26 to 0.38 ohms. So we're going to test our lighting coil, and that shows black to yellow wire. So self-explanatory, easy. Here we go. So all we're going to do, have it set to ohms, black to yellow. It doesn't matter which probe goes in which wire. Stick it in there. And just make sure that you do have contact against your probes, and give it a second. Don't stick it in there and expect the reading right away. Give it a second. 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3. So see, it's fluctuating about 0.3. That's about what it's going to be. It's fluctuating to 4 just for a split second, but our spec is 0.38, so we're good there. If it's way out, then that's going to be a problem for your lighting coil. But that's close enough in tolerance that it's nothing to worry about. Alright, so now we're going to test our pickup coil. Shows 94 to 140 ohms, and you touch the white wire with the red tracer to the white wire with the green tracer. And what that means is, like on this wire here, you got a white wire with a little red line. That red line, they call that a tracer. So that's what the tracers mean. Okay, so our pickup coil, 94 to 140, and that's white red to white green. So it's going to be these here, white with the red tracer and green, white with the green tracer. So again, doesn't matter on which touches which. Reach in there, touch one to one probe, one to the other, and we're looking for anything between 94 and 140. Here we go. Give it time to read. 125. So we're well within tolerance. We're pretty much right in the middle of between 94 and 140. Okay, so we know our pickup coil is functioning. We know that's good. The last thing to check is going to be the ignition coil, which shows 13.7 to 20.5 ohms, red wire to green wire. Let's check that one out. Red to green. Right here, same thing. Stick your probe in. And your other. Could be kind of tricky getting them in there. Alright, let it read. We're looking from 13.7 to 20.5. Okay, we're under 20.5, so we're good. So our stator's good, guys. Our primary coil calls for 0.28 to 0.38 ohms. So we're going to test that first, and we just set our voltmeter to our ohm setting, the horseshoe looking setting, and primary is going to be right here, these two prongs on the coil pack where you actually hook it up to your harness. It doesn't matter which probe of these you touch on here, as long as you do make contact on both of them. So we're going to put one there, and we're going to put one here, give our meter time to read. Our specs are 0.28 to 0.38, so we got 0.2, 0.3. Alright, so it's fluctuating between, it's down to 2 now, so we're plenty good. It did show as high as 4 for a second, but it fluctuated, and that's fine, because right here we're at our high side is 0.38, and you got 0.38, 0.39, and 0.4. So I mean, it's right there, and it did show 2 ohms there for a little bit, so it's well within spec. So next is our secondary coil. The secondary coil is tested, and we're going to actually take the plug caps off for this test so we can verify we have a good connection. That way we're going around that. We're going to actually test directly here, and here. And these specs are 4700 to 7100 ohms. So again, we have it set on ohms. And the climber's wrong. Don't look. I don't know if the climber's been corrected or not, but the climber manual is wrong. The climber manual shows how to test a coil on like a 4-stroke or something like that. The Banshee coil is different. You can't test by testing like this. The climber tells you to go to one of your leads and then go to ground on your frame. That's not correct. On the Banshee, you have to test between your 2 secondary leads. So you're going to take one probe, put it here, stick the other probe directly into the other wire, not like the climber says. Put it in, let it rest, take a look at it. We have 6,000 ohms. So we're definitely between 4700 and 7100. So that tells us right there that our coil is definitely good without a doubt. So that's out of the way. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about the gap between this pickup coil here and this little tab right here. So what we want to do, as I had mentioned, I would use a business card. Our pickup is loose. So what we're going to do is roll this tab away from it, stick a business card in here, and then roll it back, and you'll feel the magnet catch, and the card will have some drag on it. You just give it a little push back here, be sure it's all the way against it, make sure your card still has drag, and then remember these bolts already have Loctite on them. So then just reach in there and snug these bolts good and tight. Like so. Pull your card out and you're going to have the proper gap. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how to test your wiring harness. It's easiest because the leads on your tester may not be long enough, so it's probably going to be easiest just to take it off and lay it on your workbench so you can test it. And I'm going to kind of explain how everything works, and then what I'm going to do is loop it up together where my ends are close together so I can test it, and everything will be in a camera shot. So I'm going to kind of show you how this harness works. Okay, this is the back of the bike right here, and here's your main ground that grounds on your regulator. This white plastic lead here comes directly from your stator to here. It doesn't go anywhere else. So it comes out of your stator. Its voltage comes out of your stator, comes in, powers your CDI, and then your CDI wires come out here, and you're going to have your key here, your ground system here, you're going to have your coil, and you're going to have your parking brake circuit in here. This blue wire here is your tail light. This is the ground for your tail light. And that's all there is at the back of the bike. Further forward, right here at the stator connection, we have a yellow wire and a black wire. The black one doesn't have an end on it, it's the old harness. This is your ground wire for your lighting system. This is the power wire for your lighting system. The bike will run without these two wires. All this does is power the lights. The lighting system on the Banshee is super easy. The way this works, out of your stator, you have your lighting power that comes out of the stator, and it ties in right here to this little short blue wire, and this blue wire leads to your regulator, and that's where your regulator hooks in. Other than that, this wire goes straight up the harness, doesn't make any stops along the way, comes all the way up front, comes all the way right here to your light switch. Comes to this first wire right here on the bottom. This is the power in to your light switch. Then your green wire is your low beam out, yellow wire is your high beam out, the blue wire powers your tail lights. This blue wire goes straight through the harness all the way out back. That is not this wire here, it goes all the way out. It's one solid wire. Okay, this is your ground wire right here. Whenever you flip your bike from off to run, what it does is break the circuit between this black wire and this black and white wire, which is your kill switch wire. Now back to the lighting. Comes all the way up, all the way through here to right here. When you flip your switch to low beam, it completes the circuit from this yellow wire to this green wire. When you flip it to high beam, it completes the circuit from this yellow wire to this yellow wire, which is your high beam out to your headlights. From here, it goes straight out to your headlights and nothing else. So really, the only thing that powers your lighting system is this one yellow wire here. It goes straight to your light switch. Okay, and then out here, the back of the bike again, this clear plug. If you have this style plug, you're going to have, focus. Okay, I had to pull the tape back some so you can see. But this clear plug at the back of the CDI, if you have this connection with the plastic clip latch on top, this wire here is your orange wire, and that feeds your coil. It goes straight to the coil, doesn't go anywhere else. It goes all the way up the harness, around. You see it broke through right here, and it comes all the way here to your coil, to your actual coil up front. Doesn't go anywhere else, doesn't hook up anywhere else. This ground wire here, off the coil, it grounds into some other ground leads here. There's a total of 5 ground leads in this whole harness that tie together. The wire directly underneath the orange here is black and white. That's your kill switch wire. And it goes all the way up front, same deal, and it ends up right here. It doesn't go anywhere else. Well, it does tie into your torch system, which sucks. And then here, the second wire on top is going to be your key wire, your ignition switch wire. Directly below that is a black wire. To make the bike run, you need to bypass that black and red tracer to this black wire. So when you bypass your key up here, when you bypass this with that connector that I use, with this here, what you're doing is just tying these two wires together. to make the bike run. I think that's everything. Yep, that's it. That's all there is to the harness. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you guys how to test this sucker. Let me wrap it up and we'll get tested. Okay, we're gonna test our stator leads first. The wire that comes from the stator back directly to the CDI. The way we're gonna test it, we're gonna take our ohm meter, put it on the continuity setting. And the way that works is when you get a complete circuit, you don't really need to watch this. When you get a complete circuit, you're gonna get a beep like that. So we're looking for a beep between all 4 wires individually. So we're going to test our green wire to our green wire to be sure it's good. So we have green to green. We know that wire is good. Okay, now we're going to test our red and white wire. So we touch the same color wire on the other plug. We get a beep. And then we're going to test the next wire, which is the solid red. That's good. Next wire is green and white. Test that one. And you see where I'm going with this. Pretty much just test all 4. Okay, so there, that's tested good. So we know that this, I don't have any zip ties out here. Everything's inside. So we know this lead from the stator to the CDI is good. We can go on past that. Now let's go ahead and test our coil wire. This yellow wire, this orange wire that goes to our coil. It's really dirty, but you can see that that one's the orange wire. So we just take one of our leads, doesn't matter which lead, stick it in there, come back to our CDI plug, find the orange wire, test it. You got a beep, that wire is good. Next we'll test our ignition switch wire, the red and black wire. We touch that one to our red and black. That one's good, so we know those 2 wires are good. Then we'll test our ground, which is going to be here, and you can touch the black wire in here to any black wire in this harness and you should get a beep. Still in shot, yeah. So we've got ground there, we've got a ground there. We can test the ground at our coil. We got a ground there. We can test the ground way over here from our stator, our lighting wire with the end missing on it. We should get a beep there. Just lost connection in there. There we go. So all the grounds are working. Everything's connected like it should be. The last wire we're going to test is going to be our kill switch wire. Stick one of your probes in the red and white wire, and then come on back here, test the red and white wire at this connection, which is your CDI plug. Boom, you get a beep. Okay, you know what? We didn't test this ground wire in here. Let's be sure that that wire is good. So we're just going to pick a wire, like our coil, and let's test this ground back here at the CDI plug. Let's see, which one is it? There we go. Okay, so this harness tests good. There's nothing wrong there at all. Okay, so we tested our coil wire, we tested our kill, we tested our key switch wire, the red and black, we tested the whole ground system, we tested the stator leads to and from the CDI, we've tested everything here from the CDI up front, we've tested our headlight wires, everything shows good. But that doesn't mean that there's not a wire touching another wire. It shouldn't be. And I'll show you guys how to do it. But I can't test it. There's no way. I don't have enough hands. I always have to have a helper. I'll get one of my boys to help me or something. And you're going to have a helper as well. But for instance, we're going to start with our coil, our orange wire, because I don't have to hold it. I can wedge it in there. So now we can come back here and test the orange wire at the coil, at the CDI plug. And that's right. We should have continuity there. But we should not have continuity between any other wire in this harness other than this orange wire. So We should be dead here, 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 here. We should be dead here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We should be dead at our tail light, at our main ground, which is going to be all of the grounds. We should be dead up front at our ground, tail light, low beam, high beam, and power in from the lighting coil. We should be dead at our kill switch. You get the idea. You should be dead everywhere. You need to do the same thing between every single wire. For instance, you're going to take this one of your probes, stick it in your yellow wire here, and you should be, nothing else should be hot other than another yellow wire. Same thing with this wire here. Test your green. The only place you should get a beep is going to be at the same green wire back here. If you get a beep between one of the other 3 wires, then you've got wires touching in that harness somewhere. It's kind of a hard process testing that part of it without help. But long story short, this harness is good, and that should give you a pretty good idea on how to test it. I feel like I flew through that, but hopefully that gives you guys kind of an idea. Okay, so we've disconnected our light switch. We've disconnected our key, bypassed that. I've showed you guys how to test the coil, how to set your pickup gap, and how to test your stator. So if you tested all that, you've done everything, you've checked this harness, and you still can't get any fire, the problem is definitely going to be in the CDI, which is something you probably should have checked right off the bat. I mean, I would just, you know, before you go through taking the wiring harness off, just plug in another CDI, borrow one from somebody, and plug one in and try it. So I'm going to throw this video together and see how horrible it came out. Hopefully it helps you guys out some. Y'all have a good one. Oh, hey, if y'all want one of these little bypass deals to bypass that key, just hit me up and let me know. They're on eBay too for sale for like 12 bucks. They're a good little tool to have. I have one for all 3 models because I don't have to hunt wire down or nothing. I just plug it in. This is a used one. This is just off an old harness that I used. So anyway, y'all have a good one, guys.